Welcome back, all my 40k fanatics out there. I'm DJ here with Tim's Nation to bring you my list that will be taking on Lane later on this evening. Lane's bringing the Blood Angels back with a very interesting list, I'll say the least. No spoilers there. You'll have to check out his video to see what he's bringing and the battle report itself. As for me, I'm bringing the World Eaters. We're going to go punch for punch, blow for blow, close combat heavy with two armies of red. Well, typically red. The Lane's Blood Angels are his, Black Death Watch scheme. May they rest in peace, at least until December, when who knows what we're going to see there. And maybe we're going to see some Death Watch back here on the channel and on the tables here soon. But until then, Lane's running some Blood Angels, and he's had a lot of fun with them. For me, I picked up a couple models after this weekend, got them built up. And so we do have some new additions to the World Eater faction. And so I decided, let's take ANGRON out of the mix. Seems to me like the way I felt from some of the comments and some other things is ANGRON isn't as fun to watch. He is a very strange piece and model in the game entirely just because of the fact that you can bring him back. So he can literally win games entirely. Games that should be close, he just wins because he comes back. And I can see that. So we want to play it a little more tactical, and we're going to go just into the World Eaters, but we're leaving ANGRON home today, and we're bringing some other stuff, and we'll talk about that in a second here. But yeah, after this weekend, I had some interesting finishes with the tournament that Lane and myself went to, and we'll be talking about that in a separate video. Take a look over there and hear everything that went down. And yeah, that's pretty much everything. You guys can see I'm sporting the Steelers stuff. Steelers defeating the Ravens, clinching first place for now. Not clinching, because we still got more of the season to go, but solid in first place now. No questions there. Everyone who said Steelers are going to have a losing season, it ain't happening. It ain't happening. Awesome defensive game. Go Steelers. All right, we're here to talk about Warhammer. We're here to talk about the World Eaters. So let's jump over in the list that I'm bringing here today. Here we go. Here it is, the World Eaters. So if you don't know, the World Eaters have the ability, their detachment rule is +1 strength and +1 attack when they charge, as well as the Blessing of Khârn's rule. I roll 8 dice at the beginning of each battle round and assign those to different abilities, such as +2 move, +1 feel no pain, lethal hits, sustained hits, fight on death, and the lovely advance and charge. Typically, there would be a 7th one, which would be Resurrect ANGRON, which is on ANGRON's data sheet, so we won't be doing that today. So, this army, for starters, we'll jump over into the Demon Princes. So we have one Demon Prince on foot, brand new model, love this sculpt. He has an enhancement that reduces damage into him, so he's a little bit more durable, a little bit tougher, because his big ability himself is a 6-inch aura that gives a 5-up invulnerable save to all World Eaters infantry. If those units already have an invuln, he increases it to a 4-up. So things like the Exalted and the 8-bound will get to go all the way up to a 4-up, and there's a cute little strat called Go to Ground that gives any unit a 6-up save, a cover, as well as a 6-up invulnerable save. So I can give any of my infantry a 4-up invuln for 1 CP. That's pretty strong, and I can also utilize that on things like the Berzerkers or the Jakhals, who already have a 6-up feel no pain that they can get up to a 5-up feel no pain. Pretty good, pretty tough, pretty nasty, and this guy still slaps. He's got a decent amount of attacks, 3 damage, as well as a sweet profile. He's pretty cool all around. Love the sculpt. Looking forward to using him today, and I wanted to get that new model. Next up, we are bringing a Demon Prince, and he does have wings today. This big boy is going to be flying, and he's coming with the Berzerker Glaive. So similar, if not the same stat profile as the Walking Demon Prince. Biggest difference is the wings and the ability. So his ability instead is that I will pick a unit at the beginning of the game to be my sworn foe. When I attack that sworn foe with my Demon Prince, I can reroll all hits and wounds into that target. However, if my sworn foe is alive at the end of the game, then this model is destroyed if it isn't already. He has the Berzerker Glaive, so it's going to be giving him +1 attack and +1 damage, so his big heavy hits are going to be flat 4 damage. Typically, I think I want to run this on the Master of Executions that I'm bringing, but for today, I want to have a little fun with it and see how this felt. I don't necessarily think I'm going to be running a Winged Demon Prince here in the future. It's just kind of to have some fun. I want to try him out. I want to see how he feels on the table. All in all, for his point cost, there's a couple other things I think I would rather do, but I don't know it until I try it, so we're going to give him a chance to fight today. Also, characters hanging out by themselves is going to be Lord Invocatus. So Invocatus is going to go by himself because he doesn't give as much to leading a unit as others do. His ability gives to the leading of the unit, his for fallback and still charge, which is nice. But with my army, I don't mind necessarily just being in combat in some senses, and I don't feel like if it was something that he gave it as like an aura effect, that'd be maybe different. But just his unit alone, I don't see it as coming up as much. It's kind of just something that's there. Otherwise, he still gives 2 units a scout move, and he has a scout move by himself. And with his high amount of wounds, high toughness, 2-up save, 4-up invuln, he is very good at a 12-inch move, where the normal Juggernaut's a 10, he's a 12. So his normal move, he can go over, get on objectives, do secondaries, and be very resilient and not something easily picked off. So I think that that's going to be his role for the majority of the game, is just going to be kind of completing secondaries and such, with still the capability of clearing trash units that are trying to do the same in a location that he's at. Now, he does have a scout move, so he's going to be able to scout and pick 2 other units to scout as well, the infantry units at the beginning of the game. And there is a squad of 8 bound. They also have scout move. This is a 6-man squad. Now, we've had some discussions in the chat on the channel about taking these guys as 3-mans, not taking them as a big 6-man, about their value with being a beacon because they give the reroll 1s to wound, or if the unit that it's an aura effect. So any unit within 6 inches would get reroll 1s to wound in combat, or if that unit is attacking a unit that's below half strength, full rerolls to wound, which is nice. Those rerolls are very nice. For me, my mentality behind it is I like the bigger units so that they're able to survive later in the game, so I can get those rerolls into smaller units when I really need them to hit and finish and clear stuff off and start tipping the scale. Plus a 6-man, I can spread it out pretty wide, and those guys will still be tough to chew through. 3 wounds apiece, toughness 6, and an invulnerable save. So, and they hit. They wreck really, really hard. Granted, they are more geared towards anti-infantry, which is kind of what most of my weaponry is, but there is some strats and abilities that I have to use that can be able to get these guys to be able to hit medium vehicles, dreadnoughts, rhinos, and stuff like that, to be able to get them off the table. All in all, I do hear what people are saying and splitting these guys up. In the future, that may happen. I would say at the end of this video, I'll talk about kind of what is on my wish list for like stuff to expand into with this army as far as kits would concern. And that is part of it, to be able to have that option to try out. But today, I do still like the 6-man. I do still like the big brick of these guys, to be able to widen that beacon, but yet have that beacon that's going to survive later into the game. Next up, we have a 3-man of the Exalted 8-bound, led by a Juggernaut, a Khârn Lord on a Juggernaut. You know, the only Khârn Lord that we get. Don't get one in Terminator armor. Bugs me. Anyways, so Exalted 8-bound, got the Chain Fists. They lock units in combat with them. Well, can potentially lock units in combat with them. And the Juggernaut does impact damage. So this is just a damage dealing unit that can hit a lot of things and punch a lot of things up. Again, we have the 1 CP strat to be able to go +1 to wound versus character units, monsters, or vehicles. And with the Chain Fist, that makes them that much stronger, especially in the stuff that's toughness 12, where now I can wound those on a 2-up. So these guys hit incredibly hard. And much to what people have said, and this has been a conversation that I've had, is that I should be running probably more of them, maybe a 6-man of them, as opposed to a 6-man of the regular 8-bound. And I hear you, and that might be the route to go into in a bit, just because of how hard these guys hit. For right now, I do just have the 3-man. I like them being able to hide and kind of duck and weave out of terrain to be able to still hit pretty hard. The Juggernaut having a 10-inch move gives them kind of in some ways can give them an extra inch, depending on how tight they are together, to get them a little bit closer than they normally would. They are infantry, so I can technically target them and give them a scout move off of Invocatus. So there is some cool stuff that we can do with them to get them moving across the field. They have Deep Strike, but since they're led by a Juggernaut, they're not going to be able to use that. So yeah, I hear the fact of like how people are saying I probably should have this switched where my 6-man is the Exalted and the regular 8-bound is probably just the 3-man. But again, I do place a lot of value behind that beacon ability, and that's why I want that unit to be more survivable and have the Exalted 8-bound that are able to kind of stay out of the line of fire and just be very precise and very much a scalpel coming across the field to eliminate something. Now, over into our battle line units, we have 3 5-man squads of Berzerkers, one of which will be led by the Master of Execution. See, I do listen. I got him. I know. I needed him for a while. Master Execution gives the unit fight first, which is going to be incredibly huge, especially into things like Blood Angels, so that then when they charge me, I can eliminate them quickly. Now, typically, I probably want to run the Berzerker Glaive on this guy, but for this game, we are putting, I believe it's called the Bloodlust or Battle Lust, which gives him the free heroic intervention. This way I can position him, and if one of my other units get charged, I can heroically intervene with a unit that has fight first and potentially pick up guys before I lose a bunch of my Berzerkers in the process, or other units as well. So, and then the rest, as for the rest of them, they are going to be things that can go out, do actions, complete secondaries, and give me extra rolls on the dice and stuff like that. As I mentioned, they are a unit that for 1 command point, I could give them a 4-up invuln to do that ability off the Demon Prince, but I got a bigger unit that'll probably see that. And that is who we're going to next. We have a 10-man of the Khârn Berzerkers. Now, much like the other squad, they have all the fixings. So plasma pistols, the eviscerators, everything you can take, and the banner. This squad is going to be led by Khârn the Betrayer. Khârn giving reroll hits and wound rolls of 1. He is an absolute machine, and he can hurt a lot. He can really punch up into a lot of things. For 1 command point, I can give these guys +1 to wound versus monster vehicle or character units, which makes Khârn that much more threatening with his 3 damage axe and like 9 attacks on the charge. So this squad can really smack just about anything. They're going to go inside of a Rhino, so I can catapult them out, get the extra 3 inches. And if I'm on an advance and charge turn, I can spend the CP and go for an auto 6 on the advance, or just roll it. You know, this is a very critical unit to just try and hit something with, hit it hard and remove it. I'm still kind of getting used to what type of things this can actually destroy, but Khârn is basically in a column of he can destroy just about anything. I love him. He is such a beast. And last is a 20-man squad of the Jakhals. Now, previously, I was running these guys up on the front line. I think these guys are probably going to stay home and hold my backfield objective, keeping 2 banners on the point to always let me be able to reroll 2 dice for the majority of the game. Having 20-man back there, I think, is going to make it more difficult for units to get in there and take my home field objective because, well, you got 20 bodies with a feel no pain. If they're near the Demon Prince, they'll also be able to trick into that invuln. The reason I'm running the 20 instead of 2 10s is because I really want to be able to hold my home field and push everything else in other directions. This unit, where typically a 10-man, you eliminate 10 guys, you take one of my banners away. In this, if you eliminate 10 guys, you have not taken any banners away, where the banners can be the last 2 models left in the squad to sit on that objective and gain that additional dice rolls, because the banners in this army, which I have 1 in each Berzerker squad and 2 in this squad, the banners allow me to re-roll 1 Blessing of Khârn dice when I do that roll. So having more banners helps me to be able to get some of the stronger stuff that I need later in the game, like the advance at any point in the game, advance and charge and other things like that. So yeah, that is the list. So as I mentioned, I have read a lot of the comments and I am kind of taking it in for food for thought. On my shopping list, if I magically could make a bunch of boxes appear in front of me, I probably would be selling a lot of boxes and not working a full-time job. But regardless of magical Warhammer models, if I could, I'd probably say I need 1 more box of Berzerkers and 3 more boxes of 8-bound. This way I can turn 1 of them into, well, turn 2 of them into Exalted. so I can maybe run a 6-man or 2 3-mans, turn one of them into standard 8-bound, so I can run a 6 and a 3 or 2 3-mans and do stuff like that. So I think on my wish list, that's kind of where I would be at for pulling it in and collecting those things. However, I do still I see where there's a lot of strength behind what people are saying. And over time, I might start edging that needle over to it. I'd say with my feeling right now behind the Exalted 8-bound being a 3-man and the 8-bound being a 6-man, I'm like 51% confident that I'm doing that correctly, which means that it is teetering the scale where very quickly my mind could change and go, yep, I am totally wrong in that. I need to switch this over this way and do it the opposite way, do it the way everyone's telling me. The reason why I believe is that if I take 2 3-mans of like the 8-bound per se, just the regular ones for the beacons, and move them, they can scout, awesome. They can get closer to objectives, to do secondaries, awesome, again. And then they are able to give that buff. But the buff is a 6-inch aura. So when I move them up and they get the buff, it's going to be real easy to take them down and remove them quickly. So, and then at that same time too, they're going to be falling into a category of, okay, I need these guys to move up with the army, so now they're not doing as much actions, so now they're getting into the thick of it and they're getting destroyed. My mindset with it is that I take the 6-man and I'm able to push it into the thick of people's armies with my other units, and give this aura buff, and it's like, okay, you can take on that 8-bound unit, but there's 6 of them now. And if you do get through all of them, it's going to take you a lot. And once they're gone, then you still have to deal with everything else that was gaining the buffs. And even though now they're not gaining the reroll 1 to wound buff, there's so many more of them left that they're able to compensate with additional attacks and additional hits from their units. Opposite way around it, if you completely slaughter all the infantry they're buffing, you still have a 6-man brick of these guys who, honest, a lot of attacks and can really, really hit hard. Now, as far as the 8-bound are concerned, this comes down to just models and points. If I had more 8-bound of the Exalted 8-bound, I probably would shimmy around points. There's literally no reason to not run more, even just another 3-man of the Exalted 8-bound to put somewhere on the table. You know, I would consider taking another 3-man of the Exalted 8-bound and like taking and then putting my Juggernaut with a squad of whatchamacallit, probably drop the Demon Prince with wings for a 3 more 8-bound and then move the Juggernaut over into a squad of Khârn, or Berzerker, something like that. That just comes down to not having them. There really is no other reason. The squad guys are absolutely amazing. And now running them as a 6-man does sound great. They hit very, very hard. They can shred through stuff. But when you run them as a 6-man, it gets harder to hide them and get around terrain where your opponent can get in there, see one of them, and because they can see one, now an entire squad can shoot at that entire thing. So I do like running the 3-mans, but I would love to have another of them on there. I have another 3-man on the table and put them near Invocatus and give them both the scout move and have them just start screaming up the table. That really does sound like a good time. But that just comes down to having the models. So that's probably going to be the next way I go, is getting another squad of the Exalted 8-bound, because they are super, super powerful. But I do still like the 8-bound and a 6-man for the reasons that I mentioned. So we'll see how I feel, though, over playing this army more and testing this army out more. This is going to be, to give a little bit of a recap, like I said, we got a couple things that we're going to be working on here on the channel. I am complete with the Discord and I'm ready to launch it, but I got a buddy of mine who I'm waiting to kind of just run some tests on it. Give me the benefit of the doubt. It's the first time I've done something like this, so there's probably going to be some mistakes, but hopefully next week I will be going live. We'll be going live with that, so we'll have another resource that you can communicate with us, as well as share some of your armies. We can exchange roster pictures easier, just all around make communications better, and an opportunity to help support us so we can do things to help continue the channel growth. Something else that Lane and I discussed is I'm going to start doing some box openings. When we get models, hopefully once a week at least, when we get the models and we're looking to put them together, I will open them up, talk about the kit, start building the kit, build the kit on a video. And this way to kind of help some people, because I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of times that GW does mess up some of the things in their instruction manuals. And if you're not experienced with it and you're new into this hobby, we're spending a lot on models to just have them get messed up with some super glue. I hate to see it. I'd love to just be able to kind of like give some tips and pointers on getting these models built and getting them put together so your army looks nice before you go and paint it. That's Lane's thing. Obviously, you can see I need to work on my painting. And then, like I said, lastly, we're just, we have next week, we're going to be doing our Thanksgiving episode with a Thanksgiving theme. And then we're probably going to jump over into, some more things. I'm bringing the Necrons back on the channel. And I think the Canoptic Court is what we're going to see. I got something real tasty I want to try out with the Canoptic Court that, Lane and I were discussing, and it came together and it was awesome. And then Lane's like, I hate Necrons. You realize I hate Necrons. For this reason, I hate Necrons. So we're going to see how it does. It sounds fun on paper, so it'll be interesting. So, all right, World Eaters into Blood Angels. I'm looking forward to it. Big close combat, big choppy armies. All right, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.